Chaos at Stamford Bridge. Chaos again at Chelsea. Chelsea lose 3-1 at home to Brighton, handing a third one of these in a row to Chelsea, this time at home. Welcome back to FFB, amigos. Today, we're not blue. Today is red. It's pain. It's anger. It's unhappiness. Dissatisfaction. That's how tough it's been. For you Brighton people out there, enjoy. Enjoy this. Man, you're probably enjoying this. Chelsea, what happened? Chelsea, what happened? Let's get into this. Is going to be a reaction. And when we lose like that, and this is right after the game that I'm recording this, I'm just going to have to go with more passion than brains. And sometime in the midweek or tomorrow on the show that I hope to be joining the Blue Lounge. Everybody, please follow them for a live. I might have a more reasonable discussion, but let's go through the match as I lived it, as I felt it right now that I just did a live. Thank you to all of those that joined. Please subscribe, comment on these videos to keep the engagement up, to support Chelsea and football creators in general. And please do so on this video and come join me in the next live, hopefully against Benfica and Liverpool coming up, which is going to be part of these talking points. But again, like I said, chaos. The first half, I really want to separate these things. So let me try to be positive. The first half, what a thing of beauty. We were dominant. We controlled. We showed attacking intent. We had clear patterns of play. Granted, I'm going to give a lot of this to Brighton. This is what hurts about this result. Brighton was sugar honey iced tea. Not good at all. Brighton did not really show up. They did well once the game was handed over to them, but they were nowhere to be found. Their pressing was really poor. They were allowing for transition. They were defending decently, like their last line, Weltman and Dunk. They were doing really well, but other than that, they were lost on the field and gave us everything to control the match. And we dominated the whole match. At the 24th minute, Moises Caicedo, one of these line-breaking passes that I've been telling you guys, guys, I'm a Caicedo boy, a Caicedo fan. A line, quick turnaround, looks up, line-breaking pass, beautiful little cross into Fernández, who we get a little lucky. James get a little lucky with the cross, and Fernández able to put it in. We find joy on the right when our friend Reece James is allowed to play as a right back. That'll come into play towards the end of the game again. Good. We got a little play. And honestly, we had a lot more opportunities. And I said it in the live. We need another goal because I don't trust that Chelsea won't collapse. I don't trust that something's not going to go wrong in the second half. And we certainly can't defend. We have problems out in the back. Although it didn't appear that way in the first. It didn't appear that way at first in the way we were playing. But it certainly came out. It proved to be right in the end. And in the first half, we had 60% of the possession. All the chances are in our favor. We dictated play. They had nothing. Come the second half, we already start not great, to be honest. In my opinion, I start seeing some failure. I don't see sort of a little bit of the patterns that I was seeing in the first half, and we're a little bit vulnerable in transition, and it happens. Clear red card for Trevoh Chalobah. The hair's gone. That made me sad. I think we got to polish that. We get a little bit of a fade going if we're going to cut that off, mate. We got to look cooler. And I have no other reason. I love this guy, but it was a terrible mistake. Similarly to what we said, if it's first of all, never, but fine. If it's the 85th minute or 85th, 90th minute, fine. You take the red to protect the result. You're 1-0 up. But at the beginning of the second half, there's too much football to be played. You can't get that red card. You can't leave us with 10 men. My first reaction there is, please don't freak out Enzo Maresca. Please don't freak out Enzo Maresca. And honestly, he didn't freak out immediately. And he made some subs. But he eventually did the same thing, which is he left us with absolutely no attacking options eventually. So I find that really disappointed. That's not the right attitude. We're at home. But you know what? During the live, I was trying to be kind. I was like, okay, fine. So we're going to try to see out this result. But if we're not defending properly, we don't have what it takes. And I mean, he tried. He put in Badiashile to see if he can take on. We knew they were going to rain down some crosses on us, even though it's not Brighton's way. And that's what's tragic about this, because they are play out the back, possession base, very similar to us. Kind of they're not going to do the Brentford thing, right? They're going to try to play with the ball at their feet. So that makes it a little bit more tragic and a little bit sad. And once I saw Welbeck come on the field, I'm like, that's it. That's it. We're done. Not only Welbeck, but they did a lot of changes in the match. And I knew they brought in a couple, they brought in another number 9, they brought in Welbeck. And I know we're not going to hold on. And my mindset there is like, I know we probably won't be able to hold on, so we have to remain an attacking threat. We didn't remain an attacking threat. Let's go over some of the stats here. We ended up having the XG that I told you, but look in the second half. They obviously end up with a higher XG. They end up with the same amount of shot and far more bigger chances. So overall, like if you look at it from afar and you forget about that first half and you see they sort of trashed us at Stamford Bridge, and then ended up happening. And we're going to say, oh yeah, Lewis, but the red card, amigo, and that's not our fault. You know, the rest of the team's fault. What are these discipline issues? You could go back to the board. I don't want to get into it. We are where we are, and that's what I'll use the midweek update to discuss. But these are our sad realities where we happen to find ourselves in this match. Joe Pedro was, I mean, here are the player ratings. They gave him a really poor rating, but what the hell is that guy supposed to do, man? He's left alone again with nobody to help him play on. And we ended up with 3 DMs and full of defenders with nobody that can be an attacking threat. Of course, because you wanted to see the match out. I just don't think that's the kind of team that we are right now, that we can see it without remaining. You would take out all the speed. How are we supposed to counter with nobody that can run fast? Maybe Joao Pedro technically, but he's dead, man, by the 80th minute or whatever. And Enzo Fernández, they were the ones that were going to try to break the line on a counter. Seriously, especially with Fernández being tired. And now we played, thanks to Chalobah, another match with 10 players when we have Champions League coming up in three days, basically, from now on Tuesday. That's just really bad discipline, really mad. And I think Maresca screwed this up. Look, I don't end up blaming Maresca as much in this, because it's not his fault he gets picked, as much as it's not the fault of some of the players that get picked, they get put on. What are you going to do? But the fact that we have him, I think, is really sad, because when we've needed somebody with an elite mentality that can probably solve these problems, once you're dealt these problems, I disagree. Sometimes he's setting up the team and the fact that he's so stubborn in the way we play, whatever, fine. But many good coaches can sometimes have that too. But then when the crisis comes in 1 match or 2 matches, 3 matches, we're failing to adapt. And look, that's what they get paid for. You get what you paid for in the end of the day. And this man, I just don't think, I don't want to trash him or anything. He hasn't shown us anything really special in many of these matches. And I don't know if that's man marking, all these rumors that we're losing the locker room, he might be starting to lose the locker room, stuff like that. I don't know. We'll get into that in midweek. All I know is that we couldn't find the solutions when we needed. It didn't happen. I do want to give props to Enzo Fernández, because I think he had a good match here. You see his player rating high, and I agree. And Caicedo's always a monster, and he did his thing. Santos, I think, is a little generous in the 6.5. But there was a little bit of mistakes when we were pressing, because you had Fernández, Santos, and Caicedo leave at the press at once. Neto was really good. I think he deserves more than a 6.4, because he did a lot of defensive coverage with Cucurella, to be honest. And then just all around, not a good performance from Sanchez. We are where we are. Like I was saying, to me, Maresca lost control of the game. I understand. As a fan, I don't want to see Estêvão off. I want to see that magic. I want to see him play fine. But once you take off anybody that could be a countering threat, which in this case, Pedro, again, pays that price. And I don't understand. Chelsea fans don't understand that. If you get Pedro and Estêvão are 2 fast wingers, you just get them off the field. How are we supposed to transition quickly? Like, who's gonna, if you're recovering on a counterattack, like who's gonna win that? Who's gonna beat the back line on a counter. So I guess that means you didn't want to counter. You wanted to remove the counter-attacking threat and just see out the game, and it didn't pay back. And Welbeck, again, is a problem for Chelsea. He's a great striker. He's old school. He knows what he's doing. Positions himself well. We get 2 headers in the box again. We can't control. We can't defend against crosses coming in. Sadly, I think Malo Gusto is probably going to see. Let me see what they did to his rating over here. Sad to say, look, with Danny Welbeck, 8.6, man. A Champong, yeah, of course. Defensively, I at this point, I think it's more like as a block. It's not even bad to blame one player, but our defending is terrible. It's terrible. It's all over the place. And I think at this stage, now it comes in because you can argue, yes, we don't have the players, but when you do, that's when the coach needs to adapt. That's when your midfield needs to adapt. That's when you maybe have to provide them more coverage. You may have to alter the way you play. It's a reality to deal with because we can't keep getting these. And we're not doing really well. We're not doing really well. We can actually, we're 7 games in or coming in on 7 games in, and now we can actually have Everton take over Chelsea on the at the table, at the Premier League table. And yeah, because let's look at it. We'll see how the results play out. There's still games to play. We've already dropped out of European slots. I know it's not like we're at the end of the season. It doesn't mean we're not going to make European football. But the point being, we're going to be 6 matches in, and we had a run of decent matches. They weren't matches. They were games that we are supposed to win. Forget about the title run, because I was never on that ship with y'all. But they are certainly for top 4. Now we're going to be battling for top 4 again this season. So seriously, we're supposed to be guaranteed top 4 and making it hard for the title contenders, or making them nervous, giving them a run towards the end of the season, even though we can't win it. And that's already sad to say as a Chelsea fan, because I should be saying that we're competing for it 4 years after this ownership took over, but we're not there. Now I'm starting to get nervous. In a few matches in, I'm starting to feel like we may be doing a defense of trying to get top 4. And I'm trying to do these here because I want to go over the matches again. We have Liverpool coming, but let's get into that in a minute. But Brighton, at home, that's a match you're supposed to win if you're a top 4 team. Manchester United, that crap team that we were playing with Manchester United, that was a team that a game that we were called to win. Beating Brentford was a match that we were supposed to win. Then we did the business with Fulham, and then we couldn't beat Palace. 0-0 either. So that's what that looked like for us. So we're not in the form. We're not in top 4 form. And I'm sorry to tell you, those positive people out there, it's not about being positive or negative. It's being realistic. 6 matches in is a big enough sample to make a determination where you're going. You can blame it on the ownership. You can blame it on Maresca. You can blame it on the players. You can blame it on the injuries. Sure. However you want to see it, we'll get in depth in that during the week. But the reality is now we're in a struggle. Now we're saying must-win games against lesser teams coming up. We've got Cole Palmer out, and we have now the excuse that there's going to be added games because of the Champions League. What could this mean up? Chelsea fans are really worried. So I think my crisis mode a little bit activated. Like I said, now we got to play against Liverpool with Trevoh Chalobah out, Colwill injured. So our 2 center backs that, as we know, are not even, we don't feel are like world class anyway right now. I don't know what's going on with Tossin. I don't even know what we're going to end up playing there in terms of center backs. And Kukure hasn't been on it. Palmer's out. Liam Delap is out. We have all these injuries going on, and we haven't done anything to try to make up for it and correct. I would have liked to see, look, if we brought Mark Gue back, I'm assuming there was a reason, right? If we have a Champong and have held on for him, I'm assuming I would have liked to see him before we did today. Cup matches, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm struggling with. I'm going to wrap my head right now. I'm being emotional. I'm going to wrap my head around, but I certainly don't feel we have, at the highest level, things are being run the way that they should be, with the intent that they should be. And if you aim for excellence, if you aim for perfection, you might land in excellence. If you aim to win the title, you might come short, but you'll certainly land in excellence. But if your aim is not that and is not to win, is to maybe be a sustainable club and worry about the development of the players rather than winning, which is fair game. You will win. You will play that game in more than likely, because in life you don't get everything that you want. You'll fall short from that. And falling short from that means that no matter the fact that you spend a lot more than clubs like Brighton and all that, most of the time you're going to be at that level. And that's what we're seeing right now. Now, I really believe in a lot of the young players that we have in this team. And that's the problem. It's only young players, but that's a different conversation. I really believe, and I'm going to have hope, because I think players like Caicedo, like Palmer, like Kukure, we have enough talent in there to do better. So that's where the pressure comes on Maresca, even if you have these problems in the back, because you can compare to other teams that are doing better than us in the Premier League and in the Premier League table. Like what's Bournemouth's excuse, right? Do we not have man to man a better, more talent than they do? Maybe even Sunderland now that seems to be above us in the table. So it's not about that. I think there's a lot of little things that are happening, and now the pressure's on. In any case, we live to suffer sometimes, and I'm okay with the suffering because I love my Chelsea Football Club, and I love football, and I love the Premier League. And we're gonna get another opportunity on Tuesday to save face and to show what we can do in Europe, which I always felt is the only place where we can probably show. I knew the Premier League we were going to struggle. Those of you who thought we were title contenders, I think, are nuts. Last year and even worse this year, because I think we actually got worse this season. We got some more players in, but given the injuries, we're at a worse place right now. How about that's fair? Is that fair to say? So we're at a worse spot than most of the spots places where we were last season. So let's hope that we can do something nice against Benfica, get a result, get going, because we're really going to need it against Liverpool. I'm pooping my pants against Liverpool because we can't defend to save our lives. The only hope that I have is that Arne Slot comes in aggressive, because if he comes in aggressive at us, he's going to give us some space in behind. It's our only shot to be able to counter with our wingers and hurt them. If he comes in a little bit too pragmatic, man, this could be one for the books and bad for us. So it starts with Benfica recovering, getting a little bit of a result, being positive. I love my Chelsea. I love my Chelsea players. I have belief in you, and I want to thank every Chelsea fan that joins me in my lives and watches my videos. A smarter, more thought out video and more technical coming in during the week, and possibly in these lives that I'll be doing. I'll be announcing them and posting my channel. That's all for now. And as always, come on, you Blues.